Well, why not take you along for some of this? I already started some of these rocks here. Well, I painted this one in, and this was kind of bugging me. There's a problem here that I want to resolve. I have a slice here that was going to be very light, but I wanted more strength on it. I wanted this to be sort of a rock face on one plane that came down, and then came up into these trees, catching light as well, joining, the sky with the rock. Not painting the trees yet, obviously, but the rock is actually in my mind, for what I have to do, is a little more important than the trees. The trees can accommodate the rock. I'm not going to use the rock to accommodate the trees. The rocks are solid. So, let's just dump some color in here and see how it goes. I'm using some yellow ochre ultramarine blue, raw umber, white, and bits of alizarin crimson here and there, because why not? Variety. Just getting some variety in there. I've started to draw so many lines in here, it's becoming a little bit confusing to the eye, and I'm not thrilled with that. So while it still looks reasonably simple, let's just jump in with both feet and risk making a horrible mess of things. It's funny, as long as you have the general tone and timbre of the colors that you want in there, and you subdue them in value and in chroma, you're pretty safe with worrying about the intensity of it later, because I can very lightly, with a knife, lay on some highlights later, and that will really pick it up a notch. It'll take it up a notch. The oil paint that I've been using lately, I'm not thrilled with it. It's very, very, very light in viscosity, and there's a lot of filler and there's a lot of carrying agent, that being oil, so carrying agent / binder, but I'm not overly impressed with its feel. It's fine for a brush. I'm not knocking the quality of the paint so much as it doesn't work with a knife very well. It makes it more difficult. It used to be the biggest complaint about knives was finding a knife that was flexible enough. And knives these days, it's hard to find one that's, at least locally here. And I like to touch. I'm very tangible. I'm tactile. I want to feel that knife, feel how flexible it is. That was with stiffer oil paint and a more tactile knife. Now we have less stiff oil paint. It's more like almost melted butter, and a stiffer knife. So it's becoming more difficult. That problem may be rectified soon. I'm dealing with I deal with a local art store here. They're really accommodating. If they can come in with some sort of prices that reasonably match other places that I can get the stuff, I'd far sooner support these guys than the chains. I don't like chains. These chains are so overpriced often. We'll see. I'll find that out in the next few weeks. But for the time being, I have enough paint to do what I have to do, so I'm going to do what I have to do. Alright, so that's kind of going like that. This tree comes down, that curves around, which we'll see. Maybe not a bad idea. But if we just stick a slice in there. That's pretty purpley. That might be just fine. This is sort of a, you could say it's in the shadow, but it's kind of a sideways shadow. You know, there is some sunlight glancing off of some of that rock. It's not in the deep dark stuff. I'm not going to finish all of this right now. I'm just going to really focus on this area here. Try a little bit of burnt sienna in there. Sienna, burnt sienna. Okay, that might be a little high chroma right there, because I would like these rocks to pop out a little bit from there. So I don't want to get too strong. I do have that tendency to get too strong too early rather than reserving the strength for later. But again, the paint I'm working with is so oily right now, I'm gonna say I'm not that fond of it. I am a Winsor Newton fan, or I used to be anyway. I might still be, but I haven't bought more Winsor Newton lately. If this outlet that I'm dealing with can provide me with some, and if the paint is as good for knife painting as I have always found it to be, then I'm going to switch back to buying that almost exclusively. I think it's Winsor Newton student quality. It's not the best quality paint. I'm not after the best quality paint. I'm a landscape painter. I'm not doing florals. I'm not doing portraits. I'm doing landscapes. And when I do have a few paints, you know, that I spend more money on, like Winsor Newton artist quality, or you know, there's some Lucas, there's some, oh, I don't know. There's a few other paints a few other tubes of paint that I have that are better if I need more maybe intense quality, but they invariably are also they're more oily. They're just too runny. I like thick paint. I like that impasto feel. With a knife. With a brush it's not as important, but with a knife, that's what I'm talking about. With a knife I want that strength. Now, I don't want to cool it off too much. Heads off like this. I don't mind that sweeping down and then cutting back. That might work out okay. I will probably know tonight. You will probably not know until the next time we meet. Because from here this way, I'm going I'm just going to cut off the extra paint so I don't have any ridges, so that I can continue to my left. For the moment, what's bothering me is right here, from here this way. And I would like to, well, I'd like to solve that problem. Or what I perceive to be a problem. May not be. It may come along just fine. We shall see very soon here. But if you want to see some strength, see some shots of sunlight. Here they are. This particular canvas is eating up my paint pretty quickly. It's fine, it's just I have to make sure that I load my brush heavily enough each time, or my brush, that I load my knife up heavily enough each time. And as you can see with this, I'm using a combination of yellow ochre and raw umber and ultramarine blue right now. Trying to keep my colors pretty warm. Still leaning in the, in the direction of grays, but and it seems, this goes fairly quickly, but that's laying the paint in. Once I have this area painted in, I have to tidy it up. This one too. It didn't take long to cover this boulder or this piece of bedrock, but it probably took longer yet to groom it, to tailor it, to tidy things up to in the direction that I want them to be. Okay. That's coming. See, the shape coming down like this helps to cradle this area. But at the same time, the direction of the smaller lines, the substructure of the rock, is actually pointing towards the focal area. Nasty bit of subterfuge there, eh? Bet you didn't know painters were such liars. blue. Let's use that. Let's use that down here. Okay. All right. Okay, that's maybe a little bit messy. Okay. I'm going to need to stand up and back up because that is what gives me a better view of what's going on. Yeah, okay. This needs some tidying up, there's no question about that. That's okay, it's easy enough, I know what to do. We have our highest values here. That's alright. Let me just make them a little bit more dominant. Harden up some lines, just a few. Kind of at the point now where I have to back up every few strokes. Because I need to stay in control of this thing. You don't want to lose control of what you're doing. You want it to look like you're barely in control, but you definitely don't want to lose control of it. Okay, you know, I would say that actually for the moment I'm going to leave that. And I'm just gonna, you know, as I always do, if there's any ridges I'll remove them. And I will reinstitute some lines where I've maybe gotten a bit sloppy. Because the next time I touch it, I want it to be, strong. Yeah, now, you know, this looks overwhelmingly strong compared to everything else. This is closer to us, but it may not have the same high values and high chroma as this area. We've hit our peak right here. Adjacent to it will be a bit of a trunk showing, you know, a little bit of what'll it be? It'll be burnt sienna and some cad or some titanium white, just a few spots, and some. They won't be intense greens. They'll just be higher value greens coming up into the tree. Going in the distance here, you know, this rocky bluff does this, and then it sort of goes a little bit concave with the odd mixture of concave convex shapes, a bit of a medley back here. This, however, as you can see in the design, is going to be strong again, but it's going to have to be lower value. It can be slightly higher chroma than here, but not much, because you don't want this to overtake that. Just because this is closer, who cares about what's technically accurate? What we care about is the painting. We care about this right here. This is our baby. So let's keep this strong, and we'll just figure out ways to tone this down. This, I'll probably use burnt sienna and some ultramarine blue to tone down that high chroma of the burnt sienna on these rocks. And of course raw umber, because that is really, the raw umber is our mother color for all of the rocks in this painting. It's our base. We operate from there. Raw umber and white, and then we veer warmer or cooler depending on which colors we use. Okay, I think I've blithered on enough. I don't know if I'm gonna, I might, tomorrow's Friday. I might put it out tomorrow. That might happen tonight too. I have no idea. I'll square off here with the camera so you can get a better look at not just what's there but how it's situated. But I think you can see pretty clearly the life that is now coming to this painting. It's just gonna blossom. Well, it's already beginning that, you know. This really comes into power. So the whole thing is going to be, that's the whole, you know, or coming down. Gotta tell you, I am very happy with the looks of that so far. See you soon, guys.